Hey everybody, it's Bruno on NB, and we're Can't All Be Serious. I am joined by John and JB from Sideline Sports, Johnny the Rifle. That's what we're talking about. And JB, thanks for joining us today.
Our pleasure. How you been?
You know what? It's always first and five. Okay, there's always procedure on the other team, so we're always doing good. Now, JB, you're in Chicago.
Yes.
John, where are you exactly? What's the name of the town you're in?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. And
Pennsylvania.
remember, we had the conversation when we first met. I saw the reenactment personally when I was 13 years old. They still do that?
Yep, still do it every year.
Are you one of those guys that dresses up part-time?
Oh, no, it's way too hot to do that.
He
Yeah.
looks like he could be though. That actually may be a thing, John.
Yeah. You just don't want to be like the guy like in Gunsmoke. You guys remember Gunsmoke?
I remember gun.
Yeah, remember the Gunsmoke guy that got shot before the credits? You don't want to be that guy. You want to be
No.
the last guy in the Civil War reenactment. You know what I mean? Like kind of like Rambo back then. But anyways, we got you guys well represented. We're gonna get right to it. My show gets right to it. Um, our thumbnail says sports podcast reality. Now we're talking about the business side of it because everybody thinks you get one of these things right here, right? The microphone, and you know a little bit about the Green Bay Packers or the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're making millions just like our friends Pat McAfee and the rest of them. You guys have been doing this for a while. What is the reality of running your own sports podcast business? John, let's start with you, buddy.
Well, you're going to put a lot of time, sacrifice a lot of time and money into the business the first couple of years, and you're probably not going to turn a profit. Um, you're not going to see much of a profit, if any, for the first couple of years. It's just the way business goes. Whenever you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs like us, you're going to sacrifice a lot, and you just have to be okay with that. It's just the way it works whenever you're an entrepreneur, trying to make your way and eventually turn a profit. So yeah, a lot of sacrifice.
But ever since I met you, and we'll kind of uncover how we met. But I get like such an energetic vibe about why you're doing it. Like you love the sports angle, the business angle, the story angle. Why did you get into this? Like you can do so many other things.
I've always been a passionate sports guy. I'm proud of the Florida Panthers for what they're doing to your country in hockey right now. So
Hey, we live part-time in Florida. We're an hour and a half away from Sunrise, man. It's all good.
John trying to get us many new fans. I love it.
exactly. So you kind of get a gist of of what I'm about. But I've always loved sports. I've always been very passionate, very knowledgeable, all about the statistics and stuff like that. But I've always loved, talking to the athletes and getting to know them, um, as opposed to just what they do on the field or for your fantasy team or whatever. I'm actually getting to know them as people. I think as I've gotten older is more interesting than asking them about, a play that they made or their fantasy stats or whatever. I think getting to know them as people is really interesting because when you talk to people, when we met Kyle Turley, he used to play for the Rams. He was a lineman in the NFL. We didn't know he was a professional musician. After
Right.
he'd retired, we met him at the Super Bowl in Vegas this year, and the guy has his own album, um, and he kicks ass. We listened to his music at a charity golf event, and his music's amazing. So you learn those type of things about these athletes that you really wouldn't know unless you're there talking to them or they're on your show and they open up to you. And they
Hmm.
really only open up to you if they feel and they can sense if you're genuine, if you're real, or if you're one of those people that's just trying to get a sound bite out of them. They
Sure.
can they sense that right off the bat. So, but I think that a lot of them see JB and I and our team as pretty genuine guys, like you've kind of said that. And that's kind of how we try and go about our business It's just being authentic, being genuine, and I think people respond to that.
Well, JB, I want to get to you right now. You had a really good career in another field, and John just declared that this isn't for the faint of heart here, and it's not your conventional pro forma type business where you just buy a gadget, resell it. Why did you get into this?
It's just, an amazing experience. There's always something going on. There's always a topic to talk about. You get to decide what the topic is. We decide what the discussion's going to be. Whatever we discuss, people will talk about. And, I, by doing this, I've gotten to meet and become friends with some fascinating people. I mean, our co-host, Dave DeRocher, former NFL player, president of the NFL alumni Orange County. Guy's one of the greatest people in the world, and I consider him a close friend. Rafael Esparza, one of our other co-hosts, one of the greatest odds makers in the world. We could pick up the phone and ask him a question anytime we want about, anything to do with gambling or anything to do with sports. He knows so many different things, and it's just, I would have never thought just those two alone, but, on weird days, I'll just have former pro athletes calling me, asking me different things, asking me for my help on how to get involved and, put together a show, what they could do, how they could establish it. It's a rewarding field. It's sometimes it's not about just making money. Yeah, we all want to make tons of money, but John and I both knew when we first started, we didn't have the advantages as former players would have, or people that had family in the business, or people that went to school for broadcasting. We were complete and total outsiders. So the only way we'd get where we were is if we banded together and we worked hard. And some people don't get the thing of working hard. They say it's not, doesn't bring value. And I laugh at that because, you have to work hard and you have to perfect your craft and be better at what you do so that you get the respect of people. And I can look through, the book of who we can contact at any time and who respects what we do. We may not have made it financially yet, but when people hear of us and see us, they respect us. And that means a lot. And eventually, hopefully it turns into, financial backing, but it just shows what we've done in such a short period of time.
It's
Well,
also nice. It's also nice, Bruno, to with all the experience that we have and contacts that we have and connections and all of that, and the places we're in, it's nice to be able to help other people. So you came to the Super Bowl. We day passed you in, right? So not only folks like you, but there's so many people that reach out on social media wanting an opportunity for this or that, and typically places like ESPN or whatever don't give them opportunities, but we try to give people chances because we know what it's like to start from the very beginning in media or start from the bottom of that mountain. So we try and give people opportunities that other places don't typically give them. And we're all about doing that. We're all about trying to help send people to events or games or whatever, so that way they can get that experience, whether they're with us long term or just a short period of time. If we can help somebody else out in their respective career, to me, that's pretty rewarding.
well, you mentioned Raphael, who, by the way, the best prop bet he could ever come up with. Okay, and I didn't even know what a prop bet was. So the best prop bet is he can give incredible odds on me ever spelling correctly the word thorough. Okay, so forget about thoroughly. That'll be forget about it. But you got Raphael. You got big Dave DeRoche. The biggest part with him is his heart. He's such a great guy. He was on our show when I was in Vegas, but you forgot your other partner, Jay. And so how did you get to know each other?
So randomly different ways. I mean, John and myself met through Facebook, through a what was Steve? A
Uh,
publicist?
yeah, it was like a publicist. It was a Facebook
Yeah.
group. Somehow
And
we
he just
connected us.
He just randomly connected people that had similar, he wanted to
Yeah,
get people on different shows. And, he said, "Oh, you and John have similar interests. Why don't you guys talk?" And we just hit it off, and the
It's great.
relationship grew. And then, we had met Raphael online. We invited him on one of the shows, and we just became, closer as time went on. Dave, we met last year at the Super Bowl. We went to a top golf outing with him. We, nice guy. We met him and Anne Marie. Saw him about 4 or 5 times throughout the week. We thought he was a genuine person. He was a nice guy. He, you know, was well spoken. Thought he would fit well with us. And we offered him the opportunity to be part of what we do and to come on our show. And he took it, and we got to know him even better throughout the couple of years. Jay, we met him through one of the other shows on our network, The Gauntlet. He's one of the hosts of that show, and we just got to know him over time. And Jay is phenomenal. Jay's like my right hand man. If I ever need anything, I just reach out to him. It gets taken care of. It's great.
Yeah, you guys make a great team. We're going to get into that right now. Let's talk about the sports podcast, your actual show. Okay. So, John, what is it called? What does it cover? Yeah, let's start off with that.
So Sideline Sports is our the name of our network, but we just our Sideline Sports shows, our Tuesday show, and that obviously covers everything. We try and talk about the important things in sports, but we also talk about unique things. A lot of times, JB will have some sort of list that he comes up with, something that pertains to something happening in sports at that time, or I get my random thought of the day. So sometimes JB allows me to go down that road and take the viewers down that road. Sometimes, JB doesn't allow me out of the cage. So it just depends on the week on whether JB lets me loose or not. I try telling everybody uh, that Frank Gore, he's like top 3 in rushing in the NFL. And I said he's not even a top 5 back. I said he's like 7 to 10, somewhere in that range. And I compared Frank Gore to Metallica. Metallica's not a top 5 band. Like 7 to 10, they're not elite. They're really good, great, but they're not elite. So they're Frank Gore. They're the Frank Gore of music. And after that, JB didn't let me out of my cage for a while after I said that. And then I
He scares us.
took Jackie Robinson out of the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
JB put me back in the cage, and I'm not allowed out for a
Okay,
while.
so hold on a second. Hold on a second. Why would you take him out of the Hall of Fame? Not enough games?
Yeah, his stats don't justify being in the Hall of Fame. What he did as an ambassador, if you put him in as an ambassador of the game, that's different. But you put him in as a player of the game, he doesn't have close to the stats that you need to be a Hall of Fame player.
Okay, let's touch on that. We're going to talk a little business here. Okay. By the way, JB, I lost a bet because I know you're from New York, right?
Yes.
And then now you moved to Chicago, right? And
Yep.
when I said, why did you get into sports talk podcasts? I expected a very simple 2-word answer, the Bears. But you didn't give me that. Okay. So
I'm a Giant fan.
He's
what's
a
that?
sad fan.
I'm a Giant fan, so we suck
Hey.
for worse than the Bears.
Okay. So do we like the quarterback?
Daniel
No.
No, what's it? No, the agent. Oh my God, Sean.
Oh, that guy. He's a joke.
Tommy DeVito. He's got to be playing for you
Yeah.
guys. Forget about winning. You're not going to win anyway. So you may
No,
as well play him and
exactly.
get all the Goombas out there. You know what I mean?
Listen, we can let anybody play as long as it's not Daniel Jones. I'm all for it. It doesn't matter. So
Hey,
he should be horrible and get a good quarterback next year.
let me tell you something. Okay. I stopped watching a lot of sports. I'm not as good as you guys knowing this guy and that guy anymore. Actually, Chris Rubio, he and I kind of share the same kind of feeling is that, both kind of did it for a living for a little bit or a lot of it. And then you just kind of lose the trivial details of who's this and who's that. But I got to tell you that the one thing that you guys do better than anybody else is give details and catch us up to current events because I'm like, like for instance, we were talking about Tommy DeVito, and for those of you guys don't know who he is, he's kind of stepped up. He was a great quarterback in college too,
Yeah,
and
he
he's
was really good.
he's very Italian. Lives in his parents' basement. They call him what, Tommy Cutlets. And him, and I'm going to take something out of Sean Avery's podcast. Remember Sean? I can't believe I'm quoting him when I'm on the show, but his conversations in the basement is show me the money, right? And so, but I got to tell you, the finer details are, if it wasn't for talk shows like yours, podcast, videocast, and some of the other stuff that was saying, hey, this guy is kind of cool, and look what happened, and he had this agent. I was looking forward to watching the Giants and seeing Tommy DeVito play. Didn't matter if he was good or not, right? It was just entertainment / information gathering because nobody would know the guy, right? So that's what you guys provide, right?
Well, that and we also do it without the politics aspects. If you're watching like ESPN or whatever, a lot of them have like an agenda or politics or whatever tied to them. Don't do any of that. Like it's just it's just entertainment. Like we just entertain our audience, and we all have our different our different roles on the show. So of course, like I told you, I'm the wild card. So sometimes JB allows me to go off, and sometimes he doesn't. And
The mute button works so well.
Yeah, JB's the host, very too laid back.
JV, I got to tell you, I love you, man, but don't you mute my friend Johnny, man. I'll you got to let him go. But I got to tell you, their amount. I heard, I might be a little bit late to the dance, but they are putting together all the leagues, the professional leagues in North America, and putting all the stats in together. But so Jackie Robinson, I know, okay, I'm a Yankees fan, 27-time world champion. I'm not sure if we quoted that enough times, but
we can quote that all night. That's an accurate quote.
That's an accurate quote, right?
Yeah. Dinosaurs this much, but sure, if you want to talk about dinosaurs this much, since that was centuries ago.
Sorry, John, you cut out a little bit. I'm going to repeat my 27 time. Anyways, but the thing is that I understand the arguments for and against the Jackie Robinson thing, right? But there's no denying that Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige were the greatest hitters of those leagues, and Satchel was the greatest pitcher, right? Because Josh Gibson, I can't remember. Sorry, this one I can't remember anymore, but he had like incredible records, home run records, right?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. He would just kill the ball.
Yeah.
But as far as integrating the stats, and we talked about this on our show, and I kind of broke it down, was they didn't play enough games. So they were playing 67, 69, 72 games roughly. Some seasons Josh Gibson was playing 46 games. MLB's 162 games. That's not even half of an MLB season they're playing. Not even for their full length seasons. You can't pass Ty Cobb as the all time average leader if you're playing 46 game seasons while he's playing 152 games out of 162 in a season. It just
and they were playing barn burner type type teams. So there were times where you didn't know who was playing with you. Remember Satchel Paige, not that we were there. I'm into my 13th century of living, it seems, because I'm old. But the thing is that I do know a little bit about history, and Satchel Paige was a gun to hire. And it wasn't unusual for him to play 3 or 4 teams a year. Yeah. Right. And so how do you measure that really, until he got to Cleveland? Right.
None of this is and I said this last week, none of this is a knock on any of the players. None of them's like, they're all great players. Gibson was a hell of a player. Satchel Paige was amazing. None of it's a knock on them. It's just, if you're going to intertwine the stats, then the stats have to qualify. And I don't think that those stats qualified because they didn't play enough games. If you're playing 46 games in a season or 67 games in a season, it's not even half of an MLB season. If you're playing 46, that's not even a third of an MLB season. But yet now you're counting, if a guy played 46 games and he had the best average in a single season. Now that's better than Ty Cobb in 155 games or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't it doesn't qualify because the guy could have had a really hot stretch in 46 games. But what does he do for the other 116 games? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's
Yeah,
what
but
I have is
this
it
this
just doesn't.
this is where John doesn't make any sense because some people say Willie Mays is the greatest ball player of all time. Some people say it was Babe Ruth. We unfortunately I didn't get to see either one of them play in my lifetime, but you can't really compare their stats. They played in two different eras. Stats are just what they are. They're numbers. They don't really tell you
That's
much more than anything.
my
You know,
point because you can't intertwine the stats. Then you can't
who
mash them together.
cares? Who
You can
cares?
honor
Who
you can
cares?
honor
Listen, they did
But
it.
you know
stats.
what? You know what this does? You know what this does? It solidifies the empty space that exists in mainstream sports. Is that nowadays you can't get, for instance, we met Patrick Mahomes. I think you guys remember, we were on the field level, and I'm not sure
Yeah,
if you had the opportunity for Patrick to walk around. He was actually way more impressive than I thought he would be. No knock to Patrick Mahomes, but he was very open to talking to people and he was good, right? But nowadays you can't get him to say anything really without it being
No,
cleared from the team, right? So
yeah.
any kind of positive or negative or dirt that your shows come up with, even an opinion that might spur different thinking, builds the drama of the team, which markets the team and the players, good or bad. Remember, somebody said, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, but publicity is welcome as long as you're talking about me, right? And I think that's what really helped the MLB, um, football especially. I can't believe the coverage, the non-mainstream coverage, the speculative coverage, right? And you're solidifying it because JB doesn't agree with you, John, and John, you don't agree with me, and I don't. That's what people need to make sports vibrant again, because the business of sport right now has become so outrageously expensive that nobody can really go to games.
no.
Um, so take the mystery out of it. How I met you guys, because my fans are saying, "How in the world did you meet these guys?" Right? And honestly, total shout out to the character that you guys bring to the table. Is that I was fortunate enough to be invited to the Super Bowl Radio Row, and you guys were hosting it, and I couldn't believe how nice you guys were to us, and it was fantastic. And so the whole thing was that you guys were bringing people to the table, and they were interviewing, and the authenticity was incredible. It really was. You no longer have to be Brent Musburger to have the exclusive conversation. And the sound bites that you got out of the former players and some of the players that the owner, I remember talking to the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember, he walked by us,
Yeah.
and him and his daughter, or might have been his girlfriend, I don't know. But anyways, notwithstanding, you're talking to Patrick Mahomes and he gives you a little sound bite. And you remember that week, his dad had just got arrested for a
Yeah.
DUI. And man, I couldn't believe. Well, you asked the question, right, John?
Oh
And
yes, I definitely did on media night. I asked him about his dad getting a DUI 2 days before, and like you said, you ask him that stuff. I asked him it, and he's a robot. He's just, you know, he doesn't give a real answer. It's like,
right.
oh well, we're focused on the Super Bowl. I'm not worried about it. It was like it wasn't anything genuine. Like you said, he's not going to give you anything genuine.
Yeah, and my point is that was there, but when he was walking on the carpet or on the turf, right? Remember there was so many people. People were paying like, I don't know what it was, like $80, $100 to sit in the stands to watch people. It was
Yeah.
insane. And a lot of those people were not rich people. They were like taking the bus in Las Vegas and they were bringing their kids and having popcorn 20, $30. And I'm just thinking, wow, you know what I mean? And I remember talking to Patrick for a little bit, like a few minutes, right? Because he was just where we were standing and he was giving different answers. It's hey man, it's a drag. Yeah. He's like, yeah, good luck with your dad. Yeah, man, it's a total drag, man, but we'll figure it out. Like you don't even get that these days. So you guys cover that area that is really cool. And I'm sure like the movies, music, people that cover rock and roll, it's the same thing unless you get it publicized, right? But let's go around here for a second. What do you guys got upcoming here? What can we kind of promote for you guys?
So John will definitely be covering the NFL Hall of Fame in August, and most likely the MLB Hall of Fame with me in July. I'm probably going to miss the NFL again this year because I don't think I'm in town. I don't think I'm around that week. Always happens. The NFL schedule for the Hall of Fame does not work for me. Then we'll start the new football season in September. And then from there, I mean, who knows? There's so many things. Sports is just always revolving. There's
Hmm.
always something on the schedule. I mean, obviously, our biggest thing every year, the NFL is the king of media right now. That's where everyone talks football. So obviously, the Super Bowl in New Orleans in February next year is going to be the biggest thing that we're working towards. But before that, who knows? It could be, after the Hall of Fames, it could be something to do with the Olympics. It could be the World Series. It could be, some local coverage for a couple of NFL games, the NBA, NHL drafts coming up, MLB draft, an All Star game in July. There's so many different things. You just never know. And a lot of it depends on what the leagues grant us access to because they, of course, have different levels of who they allow in and who they don't allow in. And we're still working our way through that, try to get access to everything.
Well, Super Bowl's in New Orleans in 2025 for
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
upcoming season. So that's going to be interesting. That's always a good venue. Never been there. So and we were talking to the organizing committee, and they kept saying it's going to be different than Vegas, but it's going to be better, right? They were just kind of pumping that up. Vegas was a different venue, wasn't it? What did you guys think about it, John?
I liked it a lot more than like we did Arizona, and I didn't like Arizona at all. Their setup wasn't great, but I loved the Raiders stadium. We got to go in their stadium for media night. Radio Row was really spacious. I just love the whole setup of Vegas. I'm looking forward to them bringing it back there because it was very spacious and as a media member, really helps whenever you have all that space to be able to work and get your cameras and all of that out. So yeah, I really like Vegas. I don't, but not Arizona. I hope we don't go back to Arizona anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference is the love-hate relationship I have with Las Vegas is the strip. But it was kind of at the end of the strip, Mandalay Bay area, if I remember.
Yep.
And it was just a lot. It was a
Driving
lot to take in.
driving is insane.
Yeah,
Or this
it was a lot of there was so much. Everything was Super Bowl, everything was Super Bowl. Got to the point where, I was only there for a couple of days, but it got to the point where you start thinking, how do people afford this? Like the locals are it's insane. But let's do something I normally don't do. Are you ready? We're gonna do a little predictions here. In this is taped in middle of June. Okay, so we're gonna have a few predictions. We're not gonna bet on hockey because it'll be done before the end of it. And by the way, I'm not an Oilers fan. I don't hate the Oilers, but actually, no, I hated the Oilers because I was a Flyers fan, right? And back in 1987, I don't know, it was sad. They beat us in seven, but I like the Flames. But I don't follow hockey as much, believe it or not. But let's make a real bet here, okay? Let's get Raphael on the hotline. Hey guys, how's it going? No, sorry, I'm throwing my voice. MLB. Who do you predict, JB?
That's a tough one. I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm not going to predict them because I still think they've done enough to survive October. So that leaves me with a team in the National League because there's nobody else in the American League that I think is good enough. The Orioles, I think next year could be a factor. This year they're still learning. Uh, the Dodgers are a team that likes to choke. I'm gonna hate to say what I'm gonna say, but the Phillies, I think, this year.
Okay. Oh, just before we get to John's prediction, we interrupt with my favorite bobblehead, number 22. That would be me. Uh, and just kind of influence the 22nd. Did I say 27 times? So who you picking, John?
Well, that was the 27th time you've said that. The Orioles over the Phillies in the World Series. We just saw this series
Ooh.
over the weekend, and the Orioles took 2 out of 3. So if they would tie in record and play in the World Series, then the Orioles would get home field advantage, and I would be there covering that. So Orioles over the Phillies in 7.
Wow. You know what? That would be a really good one. I don't hate the Orioles, just so that the Red Sox are demonic, right?
Yes, yes, there.
But and I'm going to tell you, they might just be the sleeper team because they're so hurt and they're so decimated with their pitching, but they always come up unfortunately big, right? And but I'm not picking them, but that wild card, I don't like the wild card situation. I like the good old days. You finish first, you go to the playoffs. I don't believe in any of that stuff, right? But you can squeak in being a moderate team. So of course I have to pick. I'm going to pick 2 teams, one national, one National and American League. But the Yankees normally don't bet. Don't get high on your own supply, man. But I'm gonna tell you that if they don't get it this year, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because they might lose Soto next year. Like he's a difference maker, right? Juan Soto is the reason why that team's turned around. Pitching's come around. They don't have Garrett Cole at the time of this taping. They're just getting great support from everybody. So this is their year. And if they miss it, they miss it. The national team, yeah, I mean, they just banked. They banked it. They're getting a little lucky on some games. National, I don't mind Philly, but how can you bet against LA? Like that team is stacked, right? From start to finish, and they don't even have Kershaw at this point of taping, right? Okay, so let's go. Basketball is almost over, so you can't bet that. Football. Let's go. Who we're going to be seeing? First of all, who are we going to be seeing at the Super Bowl?
John, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, the Dolphins, of course, and and the Lions. It'll be the Dolphins and Lions going at it.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Lions finally get over the
Wow.
hump, but we beat them, of course.
So Campbell's gonna go for a field goal this time.
No, of course not, and he'll
No.
blow it.
Yeah, fourth and 97 yards, and the guy's not gonna go. So, JB, who do you liking?
So, I don't know. I see a rematch of what we just saw and us being bored and having to do the same thing again, but this time in New Orleans. San Francisco versus
Oh, you
Kansas City, and
think?
Kansas City
This
winning
this
again.
every Tuesday. JB has no spunk to him. He has no flavor. It's like the look on his face and the sound of his voice.
Because it's
So
happened so often recently.
boring.
Hey,
We've
listen.
covered how many Super Bowls? Who do we always end up covering? Mahomes, except for one.
Well, this year's different. So
You say. We'll see.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. My son, who follows this quite closely, had me, watching Patrick Mahomes his first couple of years, and he's the greatest of all time, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Him and his buddies. You played Madden. He gave him that extra, super arm. You know what I mean? Like nobody throws to Tyreek Hill 114 yards. It's impossible, right? You can throw from the dressing room. No, he's not that good. But I got to tell you, this Super Bowl made me a little bit of a believer in just how good he can play in the cylinder. He didn't take stupid throws. He didn't take the bad decisions downfield. He really took over that offense in the second half. I get killed on this. I'm not a humongous Kelsey fan. I think that he won the lottery. He won the lottery playing with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for not punching him back when he shoved him on the sideline. I can't believe he got away with that. But I'm going to tell you something. If it's going to be tough to bet against them unless all the wheels fall apart on that team. I am going to pick. I'm going to make my picks, and I'm not really that sophisticated, but I'm going to go with. I like Detroit and Kansas City. I don't know about Miami. I think they're missing a few extra parts. It'd be nice to see them because close to our town there. But I just don't think they have it on defense yet. Like they're close. They're really, really, really close on defense. But all right, so let's go to what other sport? We got the football. Oh, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. NCAA football.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Well, I mean, Michigan's going to be really good again. So somebody's going to
No
Michigan.
Harbaugh. No
Yeah,
Harbaugh.
ball, but I mean that doesn't mean they don't have talent. I mean they won some games without Harbaugh this past season, so they proved they can win some games without him. And really, there's not a lot of elite teams out there in college football. So I'm not saying Michigan's going to do it, but Michigan's a pretty good team, and Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban anymore, so that kind of kills them. I don't think Alabama's going to be the same team. So I think college football is kind of going to be an up in the air type of thing this year. It's going to be a wild. I don't think it's going to be Colorado though. I don't
Oh,
think.
you guys just stole my last question for you guys.
Thank
Who,
you.
Here it
say,
is.
who
It's
you got, JB?
Georgia.
Pick a team. Pick a
Georgia
team.
gets Notre Dame in the championship game.
Oh,
Georgia
Notre
wins.
Dame doesn't even have. Do they have a quarterback?
They'll always have a quarterback. The Notre Dame,
Yep.
and they're going to automatically be ranked somewhere because of the Notre Dame. They're going to make the
Yep.
playoffs, and because all the big schools have problems, like Harbaugh's not at Michigan anymore, Saban left Alabama. This is a chance for Notre Dame to capitalize on it. Georgia's going to take over the SEC, and they'll meet in the championship, and it'll be a fun game. And Georgia will win 72-21.
So
That's a fun game.
so you know what? Here's where I think, and we can have a whole show on this if you guys want to. That whole, and this is the business of sports. This is not even sports. This topic, this upcoming topic, that whole transfer portal has just made it free agency times a million. So, and that's why I picked the NCAA. I have it written down here. I want to put you guys on the spot, and I wish Raphael was here because I would take some. No, I don't bet, but I'm just saying. You know what? Here's a time to take a sleeper team that a quarterback's going to get, transferred out because any team can win with that transfer portal right now or kind of make a big jump. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying about Notre Dame is that, I don't think they signed. Can you imagine signing a college quarterback for 1 year? I mean, it's ridiculous, but they deserve it. I think they should get paid.
We're getting close to that.
Oh, for sure. Okay, my last prediction, and then we get to something fun here. Not that this isn't fun. This is great. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to predict the exact record that Primetime's going to have this year with all the transfer portal issues he's had. So what do you think Colorado's going to finish?
I say they win 5 games this year.
Ooh, that's one more, right? Didn't they win 4?
They won 4 last year.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
think they're going to have. I think they're going to have a lot of. I think they're going to have a lot of drama, just like last year. I think Shador is going to be more worried about getting to the NFL than playing college football, and I just don't see it working out. There's a lot of flair there, but there's no substance.
Yep. JB, what do we got?
They're going to the Big 12, where it's going to be a lot easier because all the Big 12 good teams have gone to the SEC. So they're going to get 6 wins. Not going to be impressive. It's not going to
Ooh.
be anything fun to watch, but they'll get 6.
Okay. I was going to say 3, but you know what? They are going to that other division, but I can't see them being better than they were this year because of all the kids moving on. And there's something to be said, and I don't want to pontificate that I know what I'm talking about, but once you make it more about quote unquote the administration than the players, you struggle because your second line players, third line players become insignificant, and you need those. I mean, I had a conversation a few years ago. A fellow used to work with me, played in Vanderbilt and in football. And I said, what's the difference between a Vanderbilt football team and an Alabama or LSU back in those days, And he said they're 2s and 3s. It's not that they were better than our 1s, but they got to play, and come the third and fourth quarter, the 1s in Vanderbilt were exhausted, right? And I think that's been the case. Is that I enjoy watching. Love him or hate him, he really sparked up the interest in football at a different level. So Deion Sanders did a great job promoting the team. I don't agree with a lot of things he says and does, but he did promote the game. It's all about popularity. And I do think that he promotes his first liners and goes too long with those guys, and they burn out in the third and fourth quarter. And I think that's the case. But here, we're going to have a little fun right now. It's called rapid fire. We're going to have quick answers on both sides, and then we're going to have your partners on there. Okay. We're going to do something a little different. Is know your partner. Okay. And we're going to see how well you know your partner. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to ask what your favorite food is, but instead of asking you, JB, I'm going to say, what is John's favorite food? And then the winner gets the opportunity to look at my Yankees jersey for a couple hours. Okay. All right. No, you know what's on, you know what's online? The next time we see each other live, I'll pick up half the dinner and the loser picks up the other half. Okay. Because I don't want to be a cheapskate. I never want to be a cheapskate. All right. So here we go. Ready? I got to write down the answers. Okay. JB, what is John's favorite food?
Burnt, well done steak.
John, is that true?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
What's your favorite food?
Stromboli.
Oh,
Really? Wow.
You need a
That's
buzzer.
okay. 0. Okay. John, what is JB's favorite food? The Bears. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with spaghetti. He's Italian.
Oh,
spaghetti.
cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
John.
You're Italian. How is an Italian food not your favorite food?
Because
Okay.
I have the best Italian food at home.
Okay. Are you ready? Okay. So, JB, what is John's favorite movie?
Wow. I don't think John's ever watched a movie.
I have many different favorite movies, so this
You
is
can
a
only
good-
pick one. You got to write it down, John. You guys got to write this thing down so you're not cheating. Let me see. And then we do like, Hollywood squares and you put up the word, okay? Don't cheat, boys.
I sure.
I'm going to say the program.
Okay. John?
I've never seen that.
You're missing out on a great movie.
I would say Anchorman.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Good choice.
Okay, John, what is JB's favorite movie?
I'm gonna say The Departed.
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. Office Space, John. Office Space.
Office Space. Okay.
What?
JB, what is John's favorite actor?
It's a loaded
Will
question.
Ferrell.
Yes.
Will Ferrell? All right.
Yes.
Oh, JB gets one.
Wow.
I got on the
nice.
record. John, what is JB's favorite actor?
Let's see. Who is JB? I'm gonna say Jack Nicholson.
No, good guess though. I would have, if you would have said De Niro, Vince Vaughn, I would have given it to you, but no, not Jack.
Okay. JB, what is John's favorite band? And you can't pick our band. You can't pick our band, okay?
It's not Metallica. We know that.
No.
He likes what's that dude's name? Mac Miller.
Well, that's not a band. That's an artist.
That's an artist. That's close enough.
No.
No. Who's your favorite band?
Favorite?
Band would be Rise Against.
Okay.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, you're pretty darn close there, JB. Okay, so John, what's JB's favorite band?
JB's favorite band. I'm gonna have to go with Metallica.
No. Guns N' Roses would have been better. A better choice, John.
Oh, there you go. Favorite song, JB. What's John's favorite song?
Ooh, no idea.
No Idea by Metallica. No, I'm just joking. John, what's JB? This is tough. I'm telling you. You guys got to know each other, bro. You're on the road.
Right, John? You're horrible. This, John.
Well, you're the one guessing all of them wrong.
Well,
yeah,
hold on, John. He's up 1-0, so take it easy. All right.
Oh, mine was a layup.
Okay, so what's his favorite? What's his favorite
You're killing
song?
me.
What's his favorite song? Sweet Child of Mine.
No, actually, Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohn. But good
Oh, there you
guess.
go.
It's a
Okay.
great
Favorite-
song, John.
Not your
Hey.
favorite.
These are going to be layups. Okay.
Uh-oh.
JB, what's
trouble,
John's
Joe.
favorite sport?
Football.
John?
Baseball.
Okay.
Oh,
John, what's JB's favorite sport?
Baseball.
you're right.
Okay, scores tied. We're not going to go favorite team. That's bullshit. Okay. So, JB, what's John's favorite player of all time? Any sport. Get one guy or girl, right?
Ooh.
You can't pick Swifty.
It's easy.
Wow. He looks like he is
Let me give you a
definitely
hint.
gonna
It's not Jackie Robinson. Okay.
right. I think it's Frank Gore. No, let's see. I'm gonna say he's
layup.
young. That's the problem. Tua.
Nope.
Who's all time?
He could have went Dan Marino or Dwayne Wade.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You don't like Dan Marino.
But he's my favorite player.
You never saw him
He's a
play.
He's the reason I started watching football.
Yeah,
He was a
excuses,
great one.
excuses.
He really was. Okay, what's JB's favorite?
That's easy. Lawrence Taylor.
Don Mattingly. Close though.
Oh, what do you mean close? Don
Same
Mattingly,
city, at
he
least.
can't even bench a quarter of the weight.
He said any sport, so I went football and went Lawrence Taylor.
Okay, so let's turn it around to individuals now. So JB, a person that's alive right now that you would love to meet, and what would you ask that person?
Okay. It's a good question. I don't know. You want to go first, John?
Person that's alive that I would like to meet. Oh man, I would love to meet Will Ferrell.
Okay.
He would be a blast to talk to. He'd be hilarious to talk to and hang out with.
What would you
He'd
ask him?
laugh a lot. I would probably I don't know what I would ask him, but it would probably be something stupid to make him laugh, and then, so that way he would say something stupid in return. So yeah, I don't know what I would ask him, but it would be something comedic. That way he
Yeah.
would reply something comedic.
Interesting.
It would be on the
Hey,
spot.
Speaking about somebody who's funny, and actually, I thought he was great to hang out with for a little bit. And I got a little video hanging out with him. Was Carrot Top.
Oh, wow.
You remember he
That's
was at our
awesome.
booth. He was at your booth,
Yeah.
not my booth.
Yeah.
But he was there. He was hanging out. He sent a little video message to my kid, and
That's cool.
he's had a little hard time, but super nice. He was on somebody's show.
Yeah.
But so JB, back to you. Who would you like to meet, alive and kicking?
So I think I would pick Adam Sandler, and I would try and figure out what was the key to become one of his people to be in every one of his movies, because it's always the same like 6 people. So I want to be like the 7th person, so I can be in like a ton of movies.
Do you know who? If you look him up, one of the funniest guys, and said he was literally the funniest guy around Sandler, was Norm Macdonald.
Arnold,
Yes.
yeah.
And he's Canadian. He's actually he was born in he passed away, unfortunately, and he was born in my hometown, and then moved
Oh,
to
wow.
Montreal. So he's French Canadian-ish, so he had a lot of French in him. All right. So by the way, this is not lying. Scores tied 1-1. So that just means one thing. Drum roll. Is I'm picking up dinner next time we see each other. Never go back on my word. So now you guys have a chance to. Here's a not skill testing question. You only have a choice of one or two things. One of two answers: magic or nice amusement park. Okay, you don't have a choice. If I say the word Disney, John, magic or a nice amusement park?
Magic.
Okay, JB.
Nice amusement park.
Okay, that's why you guys are good. I ask people that all the time, and they're like, "Oh my god, like the toughest person in the world." Oh, it's magic, dude. No, it's so that differentiates. So now we're gonna close this thing down for the first time, we're going to come back. You guys get to ask me a question. Not too hard, not too easy, but who wants to go first? JB, any question?
So, how did you get your start in having your own show?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. Is we started this media company, and the thing is that they prototyped and tested on my show. So that's how I started it. And everybody wanted me to do a kind of recruiting, because I had a recruiting company for years. And somebody that I used to work with said, you interviewed on our CRM, they looked it up, said you had over 150,000 meetings, right? Which proves that I'm over 112 years old. And all these interviews and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, how boring is that shit, right? And I always found that I was in meetings, and guess what? Recruiting, professional search, where we find people, executive people, jobs. It's not life or death. That's a surgeon. I always say it's do or die, because if you don't have a job, you may as well slip in that coma because you're done, right? You're living on the street. But everything we talked about was confidential. So I can say, JB, how much you make and how much John makes. And people divulge the craziest thing, like I'm getting divorced or I'm moving away and I can't afford my rent. So I can never say that. So in my thought process of doing this show, where it can't all be serious, we talk a little biz, but let's talk a little fun stuff, because I really think that that's what made the relationship. So that's how it started, basically. So nobody asked me to do it. I'm not really that comfortable doing it. I do it for the network, but now I get excited when I get to pick all the guests. So before it was like, hey, you should interview that guy and this guy. And I'm not saying I wasn't interested, but it was just kind of like, oh man, we're going to be talking about income tax or something. Yeah, great guy, but boring shit, right? But now I get to pick whoever I want, and we have a list, and I can't even keep up. And so that's what gave me the idea. Is my partner said, "You have the show, we'll test all the crap on you." So, Johnny, what do you got for me?
All right. So, and I assume you're under oath or something, or you're not able to lie. So, did that little kid cheat the Orioles out in the playoffs when he reached over the wall?
Jeffrey Bear?
Entire Orioles Yankees playoff series over, gave you guys a home run. Did he cheat, or was that a fair catch?
Yeah. So why don't you give our viewers a little bit of context? I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. So in the playoffs, basically this started the Yankees dynasty. The Orioles would have won the game, but I think his name's Jeffrey Mayer, reached over the wall in right field, and it was fan interference. And basically the umpires didn't call fan interference. The Yankees ended up winning because the kid reached over the wall, the Yankees fan, and that ended up propelling the Yankees to the World Series. And then their dynasty basically started with that catch, because the Orioles were, obviously a team of destiny that year, and they were pretty good. And the Yankees knew it. I mean, the city knew it because they gave him a key to the city years later. They knew that they got away with one, but Bruno did that kid cheat? Did Jeffrey Mayer cheat? I hate that kid to the end of
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It's okay to hate kids. I mean, it's in the Constitution. You don't have to, like Doogie Howser. Remember him? Like, you could hate that guy. But here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's funny you should use the word destiny. I really believe there's no accidents in the world, right? Other than the 2004 American League Championship, when they came back from 3-0. Like, that was bullshit. That was absolute bullshit. What's that?
I said I thought that was wonderful. I don't know if you ever saw Fever Pitch. You should
Oh,
watch it.
man.
It's all about the Red Sox coming back on your Yankees.
Yeah, no, you listen, I'm one of these losers, and I don't use that word very lightly. I'm one of these losers that I've downloaded every one of the games. And when I'm like traveling on the plane on my little iPad, I play back the last game just to kind of go, man, that's no way we lost that game. So I believe in the saying, like there's an opera, it's called La Forza del Destino, right? And I think it's called The Force of Destiny. And I don't think they could ever, ever, ever plan that kid catching that ball. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's like catching a golf ball in the middle of the night in the ocean, right? And I just think they made the wrong call. I think that's
Oh,
what they did. And I don't think it's the kid's fault because instinctively you're going to catch that ball,
every
right?
human's gonna do that. Yeah.
Everybody's one of them is self-defense, the other one is being excited, one of them is being nervous. You know what? About a month ago, I was watching the Yankees play, and I can't remember who they played, and it was a one bouncer in right field, and it was fair, and the kid caught it, right? And I don't know if you guys remember that. And there's a Yankees fan yelling to the kid. He's like, "That was fair," right? And the
Yep.
kid's like, "Ooh." So I think it was just destiny. I think one way or another, I think the Yankees would have beat them. And I just think that that was just something that that kid needed to be tortured for whatever reason, right? But I don't think they can't orchestrate that. It's just we can go back and forth on a whole bunch of little crazy things that happen. Like we're just dating ourselves in the last couple of days ago. You know, the date of this is June 15th, 2024, and just because it's fresh in my mind, it's like you know Jason Verdugo swings, misses, and the bat goes into the crowd and hits like four people in the head, right? So just like that, you can't orchestrate it. It just was the perfect angle. I'm using a silly example, but there's no way they could have orchestrated, but it was the wrong call. I will tell
Oh yeah.
you, they should have called fan interference, and that's that. But you know, it begs to be answers like, do you put um, do you put a net to avoid it, or do you do something about that, right? And let me show you something. If it's okay, I have this print. It's worthless, really, but if you can see this, and I'll show you guys, this is Roger
Yeah.
Maris catching in 1961, a pretty insignificant catch, but it's in the middle of the day. And I look at this often. The reason why is the resolution on the people is unreal. And the reason why I
Yeah.
have this is destiny. Like you see these guys just reaching for that ball. It's Roger Maris and this and that and the other thing. But the reality and the beauty of this picture is the same as that the kid catching against against the Yankee or for the Yankees. You can't time that. It's impossible. And that's the beauty of, I think, just living our lives. And you just never know. I bumped into you guys, John, you bumped into me when I was registering, and I just thought you guys were all that in a bag of chips. And I'm just like, I'm going to have you guys on my show, anything we can do. And I just think it happens. I think the universe just bumps into each other. But yeah, it sucked for it to be you guys, but that's okay. That's okay. They were going to win
We've
anyways. Maybe they weren't going to win that year,
we've
but
had our bad luck, John. We just happen to win 27 world titles.
yeah, it's going to be 28. I'm picking them. But no, the one thing I was gonna close out on is we're gonna be back. We're gonna have your partners on here, and we would like to do anything we can to promote you, your station. And my son got me into not even got me into, but Pat McAfee, who's a household name right now. And we're gonna end on this for a second. And I remember him watching it when he kind of first came out because he's a humongous Indianapolis Colts fan. My son is, and being the kicker and all that kind of stuff. And I think he had moderate, kind of moderate success. He kind of started kind of like what you guys did, if I know the history really well. I thought he was
Yeah.
kind of goofy, and he had a couple of buddies, and blah blah blah. And I think this is just me. I think the turnaround made him a little bit uh, pop, right? Was having somebody that believed in them like an Aaron Rodgers. And now it didn't hurt that he was a football player, professional football player, but not everybody was jumping around. He had, Peyton Manning. Um, do you think that that's at all possible for you guys, is to have somebody
Well,
that's going to believe in you guys, and then that'll be the little pop?
well, for McAfee, it's a little bit different because um, he was paying Aaron Rodgers. He pays Aaron Rodgers to go on the show.
Yeah.
So that support, I don't know if it's genuine or not. I can't say. But if you're paying somebody one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to come on your show each week, if you're paying them a ton of money, which is from what I've heard, he was paying him and still is a ton of money to come on his show, then of course that guy's going to be, endorsing your show, and everybody's going to be like, well, that's Aaron Rodgers. Nobody knew who Pat McAfee was outside of, like fans like me of football and Colts fans. Nobody really knew that guy was, but because Aaron Rodgers was on there and McAfee was paying him a lot of money, Aaron Rodgers endorses it. And if Aaron Rodgers endorses it, well, then it's going to become really, popular because there's a lot of Rodgers fans, or there's a lot of people that love to hate Rodgers. And so they want to tune in, to hate on him.
Yeah.
So that was a long-winded answer.
Oh, there's a
I
lot
love
to
it.
it.
I love it.
There's a
I
lot
love it.
to that story, JB, with Rodgers being on there with McAfee than just him helping his buddy out. There's a lot to that.
No, I know. Believe me, I know that the dude's getting good money, and whether
Yep.
it's genuine or not, I have no idea. But what I could tell you, Bruno, is I've seen our guest in the back room. We've had Lee Steinberg. Before we brought him on the air, we would do some talking and do a couple of segments. Lee would be in the back, cracking up, smiling, laughing. And the other guests we've had that just sat back and watched the show while they were waiting to come on in the green room, and their reaction, it proves to me that I know we're good at what we do, because I could see their reaction. It's just a matter of it catching on and the right people seeing it and just getting more viewers. That's really what it comes down to, and that's a lot of different things.
But you know what? We're going to end on this, and I don't mean to blow smoke up your nose. Again, we're with Sideline Sports, and we got JB and John. We're going to have your partners on here again. I really appreciate it. I'm going to tell you something. This is just my prediction. Put some odds on it, Raphael, if you want. But you guys have such a passion. You guys have such a draw of energy. You know what I mean? Like, you draw that energy around you guys. You didn't have to be that nice to me and the rest of us, but you did. And you see people just surrounding themselves trying to work with you. And you know what? We're not perfect. Well, Italians are pretty close, but you know what? We're still working on that. Okay. But you guys, I think your energy is going to draw. I think they're going to be really, whoever it is, they're going to be really lucky to be on your network. You're genuine. You talk it the way you want. I really appreciate your friendship. And you know what? You guys keep doing it. Pay the bills, have some fun. And at the end of the day, the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, I have my opinion, which is 30 seconds, is that, believe it or not, like, he was a risky interview for a lot of places, right? Especially in that period of time where COVID started. And Pat McAfee was at the right place at the right time and offered him open venue when nobody was getting deplatformed back then. And it's all in the cards. And I really believe that it's in the cards for you guys. And you guys are going to do super, super well because you're good people and you don't need me to bullshit. You guys are good people. You're doing good things. You're very nice to people. And John, you got a rocket as an arm. You were like throwing those footballs, but I'm ready. I'm ready for next year. So anyways, guys, really appreciate your time. Went way over time, but that's okay. And we'll have you guys next time. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on, Bruno.
All right, guys. Have a great evening. See you guys next time.